In the making of this podcast, which deals with a strange and curious subject, no punches have been pulled, no easy way out has been taken. Many of the smaller parts are portrayed by persons who actually are, in real life, the character they portray on the screen. This is a picture of stark realism, taking no sides, but giving you the facts. All the facts. As they are today. You are society. Judge ye not. Thanks to Putin for sponsoring our podcast.
So currently we're talking about who is the most, bangable world leader?
No, let me just reintroduce.
All right, go, please, do.
Ree,
Yes?
who's the hottest world leader?
So I've been thinking about this. So my current feeling is the emperor or the current king of Bhutan.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that guy.
Yeah?
King.
Mr. Wangchuk.
Literally king.
Let's see.
Daddy.
Come on, that's an attractive royal family.
Oh, yeah, no, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, how about you?
Raul Castro.
Like, even now?
Yes.
Even in his,
especially
90s?
now. Especially, 90-year-old decrepit Castro.
All right.
Madeline?
So, world leaders? You know what? I gotta give it up to Kim Jong-un, short boy. Po boy.
We stand a little boy.
Yeah,
Good boy.
Yeah. So I would.
would.
He's got money.
He's got a big rocket.
Yeah, exactly.
As they say.
I want to see his rocket.
No.
Yeah.
I think we're ready.
I think we're ready. I think we're warmed up. I think
We're warmed up and ready.
welcome to the show. Welcome back to Tranifesto. Yes, Tranifesto, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Bad Representation. And today we're definitely going to be putting that to the test. I am Madeline. I am joined today by...
I am Amy.
And I'm Ree, or Ree. What's the...
What? Wait, what?
I'm trying to think of we're doing Glen or Glenda, and I want to do
a
joke.
You're trying to do?
I know, Ree or
Let's restart.
No.
Reeve.
Let's
Reeve is a guy
restart.
name. Reeve is a guy. Reeve is a guy name.
All right.
Ree or Reeve.
Ree or Reeve.
I'm living a horrible double life where I am a mansvestite and
A
mansvestite.
Wait, what? Well, anyways,
that was a bad bit. Please cut that.
No, we're good.
It wasn't funny.
Well, too bad. We'll see what flies later on. Anyways, welcome to today's show. We are reviewing
Reviewing.
Well,
is that what we're calling it?
What are we doing? We are enduring.
I think we just keep getting worse at this.
Yeah, y'all know. Well, I like to think of us as like the three characters in Mystery Science Theater who are slowly being driven mad, and we're just subjecting ourselves to this.
Yes.
It's horrible. So, the movie
Today we watched.
Yes, today we watched.
Today we experienced.
Today we endured.
We enjoyed.
We participated in.
Yeah, we were.
I had a great time.
I think the real joy was the friends we made along the way, which was nobody.
Today we experienced the Citizen Kane of film.
Oh yeah. Wait, Citizen
Widely
Kane?
considered one of the best movies ever made, actually.
Undeniably.
On so many lists.
And one of the best songs. It's so good that it's transcended medium.
Trends. And that's our theme. Moving on to the actual title of the goddamn fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
Glen or Glenda, the 1953 film by Ed Wood. Ed Wood, the notorious cross-dresser.
Sweet transvestite.
From Trans movie. Yeah. Oh, fuck. I fucked that up.
Ed Wood, made famous by the biopic Ed Wood.
Yes, and also by what some people call their penis. So, anyways.
No, that's Ed's Wood.
I call mine Ed Wood.
1953 movie by Ed Wood. Basically is kind of a narrative / psychedelic experimental art student film.
Honestly, the first half feels like a PSA about the existence of transvestites, and the second half feels like a weird psychosexual journey into the abyss within Ed Wood's brain.
Oh, absolutely. And we will be covering all of that today because there is a whole lot of stuff to unpack here. kind of moving to the before we get into the kind of the queer themes.
What happened in this movie?
Yeah, so what
the queer
happened?
themes. I don't think there is anything in this movie that isn't.
This entire movie
Queer
is
themes.
just like, anyways.
But it really tries to play itself off as not queer.
No, yeah, it's very sterile.
yeah,
It's sterile in its 1950s way.
If you're ignoring the weird psychosexual art bits.
Yeah, but that's just Freud.
yeah. Pretty much for any of our listeners who've watched Reefer Madness, just imagine that, but like in women's clothing. It's pretty much the same idea.
Imagine if the makers of Reefer Madness tried to make a ContraPoints video.
Yeah, but also the thing is that like
No, that's good. No,
That's good.
That's actually solid.
Or if ContraPoints tried to make Reefer Madness, one of the two.
We were actually genuinely worried how we were going to approach this movie, and I think you just nailed it. So thank you, alcohol.
but it's also if the people who made Reefer Madness themselves smoked a lot of weed.
Yeah, no, that would be. I mean, especially Bela Lugosi, which
Well, because Ed Wood himself was a sweet transvestite.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
so this movie is semi-autobiographical, which is something to take into account.
yeah, and like it was certainly like this in the 1950s. So like even though it's taboo today, it was hella taboo back then. Also too, and I really want to get to this at some point in time. Bela Lugosi.
It's
So
taboo.
good. My
Oh.
hero.
Yeah, it's taboo. Well, not on university campuses, but the rest of the actual world.
My safe space.
Yeah, exactly. Hi UBC.
It's not taboo on Twitter.
Nothing. It's not taboo, along with the cat people in the anime pics.
Are we still talking about the 50s?
Yes.
Yes.
Twitter back in the 50s was actual birds, though.
The weirdest part of this movie is when he defined cat girl.
And you just stared directly at the screen, breaking character, and just talked about anime, which
Yeah.
was, I believe, yet to be invented.
Right. So
And striped socks.
this movie is narrated by former Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev, who explains to the audience,
By Chairman Dracula.
Bela Lugosi. It's Bela Lugosi.
who explains to the audience.
I feel like calling a Hungarian Russian would get you slapped.
Yeah, probably.
It's okay, but yes, please continue. Bela Lugosi.
He explains to the audience the life and times of Glen.
Well, I think you're giving it too much credit.
Yeah,
he
I wouldn't exactly say he describes it.
He more gives like vague monologues about the duality of man, clearly having
No,
no
that's
idea.
true.
And green
Like
dragons.
it's certainly not direct.
Yeah, clearly having no idea what this movie's actually about.
Yeah, but like he basically looked like Leonard Nimoy hopped up on LSD trying to play it off cool, and it's just like the parts where he's like he waves his hand over people, makes them fucking disappear, and then just makes them show up in somewhere else, and just fucking ramblings all the time.
But there also is a narrator who is very much a PSA commentator.
Oh yeah, no, that guy went on to like direct such hardcore films as Driving on the Right Side of the Road and
Yeah.
Saltine Crackers.
Did you know I'm just remembering this. You know, Bela Lugosi was actually like a pretty big socialist, like union organizer in Hungary.
I can
Really?
see that.
Yeah, he was a like early communist.
Dope.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Sad.
I totally am with Bela Lugosi as a huge horror movie fan.
Also a trans ally.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, go Bella.
our boy.
Our sweet boy. So yeah, basically summarizing up, it was just a narrative experimental film, and it's just a clusterfuck all over the place.
It's about transvestites.
Yes,
But transvestite in this context doesn't really just refer to like a man who wears women's clothing.
Well, they differentiate.
Yeah, there's like
between-
different types.
Yeah, they don't use the word
Clusters,
transgender,
if you will.
Yeah, but they describe. They go into saying like, there's cross dressers versus somebody who would have like sex change, and it spends a lot
Yeah.
of time for a movie about transvestites talking about sex changes.
No, it absolutely spends most of the movie talking about essentially transgender people.
well, I think that's part of the thing because it was the 1950s.
There
and
really wasn't a distinction.
no.
Also, you
formally.
saying sex change in the parlance of the film, not just to keep my wokeness protected.
Oh yeah, no, because this will go on the Twitter.
I forget. Is it SRS or GRS? What's the current?
The current is
preferred parlance?
GRS, genital reconstructive surgery.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not using reassignment anymore.
No, it's not gender reassignment surgery because that doesn't make any sense. And we got rid of SRS for some reason that I don't quite.
Sexual reassignment.
It shall now be known as
'Cause it's-
genital feng shui going forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Sex change.
Yeah,
In the parlance of
Bottom
the time,
surgery.
Yeah.
sex change.
was it? What's that old like nursery rhyme? It was to like tie shoelaces. It's like double over the loop and
Turn
shit.
that frown upside down.
Yeah, that was what that was for shoelaces. So that's basically what happens to your dick.
Yeah.
Anyways.
My vagina has 2 pairs of lips, but I don't get monthly blood drips.
Oh, so good. Maybe we'll make that the outro song.
So, for anybody who knows anything about Ed Wood, they know that he is widely panned as like the creator of like the first worst best movies.
The first Razzie.
Yeah, he was like because more of his movie Plan 9, but also Glen and Glenda are considered the very first movies like in the tradition of The Room, where they're so bad but they're so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So this movie is very much in that, and it is really bizarre, and I think we need to talk a little bit about the structure first and a little bit about the way it's presented before we get into the really meat of it.
Right, because there's the psychedelic Brezhnev narrator who has these weird like analogies and metaphors and imagery and
he
kind of
just
stares at
shows
you
up
like
every now and
Dracula.
then.
And almost has nothing to do with what's going on.
It absolutely has nothing to do with going on.
No, especially the I'm gonna call it the second act, which was basically the entire thing was a weird psychosexual strip show to like 1950s jazz.
But also there's a lot of the film is really sort of like a medicalist, like I said, sort of public service announcement.
Yeah, it's more
about what transvestites are, and here's like the common experience. And there's also this dialogue between like a psychiatrist and a doctor.
No, it's
or
like it's
a psychiatrist and a police officer.
Yeah, because it starts off with the police officer coming in and finding a transvestite who had committed suicide, which is a really dark way to start.
It was a very dark beginning.
And also, was that Ed Wood at the beginning who killed themselves?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But it was just the same outfit because
okay, gotcha.
You know, when you got your fetish, you got to stick with it.
It was the 1950s.
Not a great outfit.
No, none of them were. Well, yeah, none of Ed Wood's specific outfits were very good.
It's the 1950s. Women basically had 3 outfits to choose from, one of which had an apron, and the other one was a dominatrix outfit. So
there were some look served.
No, yeah,
in this.
that cropped sweater
Very good.
Oh,
is
yeah.
some shit I would wear.
that is like raver outfit. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like if that was that movie, because this movie was in black and white, but you know if this movie was in color, that thing was going to be like fluorescent orange.
Like they definitely sell that at Urban Outfitters.
Yeah.
Can you buy? Because I was gonna say, can you buy Angora anymore?
Not after the revolution.
Yeah. Angora is capitalism.
So yeah, there's multiple framing devices. There's the conversation between there's the Bela Lugosi cuts every now and then. There's the conversation between the psychiatrist and the police officer. Then there is the conversations between like the Ed Wood character and his wife, and which also
My wife.
And there's also the omniscient. Okay.
I regret nothing.
You got it in.
Thank you.
There's also the omniscient narrator.
Yeah, exactly. Like the documentary narrator.
Yeah, it's like a documentary
yeah.
on transies.
I think that's a good word to describe the people in this show, because I was uncomfortable saying transvestite, so transies.
Yeah.
They're trans-ish.
The transvestite.
That's good.
I like
That's my
that.
new Twitter handle.
I'm also stealing that from a NoFX song. Mm-hmm. Well, what's the line? It's like, I'm not transgender, just a lazy crossdresser.
So this movie was made in the 1950s, and that was not a great time for public discourses about trans people, if they even occurred at all.
It was a great time for malt shops, though, so that was pretty good.
Well, I think that there wasn't necessarily like the cultural baggage on it. It was such
It's
like
true. It was just foreign and alien and bizarre.
Yeah, so when it did happen, people were able to make their own decisions about it because it was so rare and so weird that like
Yeah.
they could apply their own logic to it as
They
opposed
hadn't
to
already been sort of built up this image of trans people as deviant monsters.
because even like there hasn't even been like the like gay panic of the 70s yet.
Yeah.
Which I think is when a lot of the evangelical
America
basis
was
came into it.
sleeping in the labor peace, and there were no gays.
Mm-hmm.
Gays didn't exist in the 1970s.
But
That was
this-
cocaine's fault.
Despite all of this movie is actually surprisingly knowledgeable about trans people and surprisingly sensitive
Yeah, because it has this running thing where it is trying very hard to distinguish between cross-dressers and trans people, and like there's this running narrative of these people like reading a news story about somebody who's had a sex change operation and them discussing it and having it and applying it to their own lives, and like, obviously the writer projecting, but having all of these people being like, oh, I can't imagine what it would have been like to go through that. Oh, they should be able to live their life the way they want to. And
weirdly the text is kind of pro-trans.
Or basically like saying that, it's not for everybody, but also, people who do it, that's
have
the
a
thing
good
they
reason,
have to do,
and they got to do it.
They can live their life the way they want to.
It's a happy ending when they transition.
Exactly.
Even the part where the construction workers are like,
the good working class boys who respect their trans sisters.
Exactly. The guys are like, I just don't understand it, which is kind of like, overly simplifies it, but that's usually a lot of the trans panic that exists nowadays, which is just like, I don't understand it. Unfortunately, now it's taken to a place of just violence in a lot of cases, but at the same time, too, it's a lot of it's just like, I don't understand. It's like, well, just imagine how that person feels.
Well, at this point, everyone is sort of raised with a lot more baggage about trans people, because everyone likes seen Ace Ventura and Silence of the Lambs, which we'll get to.
One day.
So
cannibalism, good representation.
They have more of a conception of trans people as negative and not just as foreign, whereas perhaps in the 50s it was more just
like a completely alien
concept
thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of, like, in more serious tones, there was a lot of segregation and stuff like that in the 1950s.
No, things were not good in the 1950s.
Yeah, all you fucking, like, idiot young kids are like, oh, let's go back to the 1950s. Everyone's so nice to each other. It's like, fuck off.
No, it's just that America was, like, deeply, deeply repressing the enormous contradictions of its social society.
Things were great in the 50s, and trans people had it really well, and I am transitioning into a trad wife. I am a transvestite. I told you I would figure out a joke.
Yeah, so the tradvestite thing is interesting because it very
Let's explore Ree's tradvestite.
Wait.
And so the thing about the tradvestite phenomenon in this movie is that because in the 1950s patriarchal models of gender were so rigid and so repressive for women, the concept of a man transitioning into a woman comes loaded with all of that baggage too.
Yeah.
And all the baggage of 1950s patriarchy. And so, it's the housewife that you are transitioning into who, like, sweeps the floor and wears these weird dresses. And
yeah, because there was that part in the show where the psychologist is talking, and he was saying that for not Ed Wood's character, what was the other girl, the intersex one?
Like Anne or something?
Yeah, something like along those lines.
Yeah.
And basically he was saying that, once she transitioned, and they did explore an intersex person in the show, which was interesting.
You mean pseudo-hermaphrodite?
Sorry, the word they used was pseudo-hermaphrodite, which is... That is its own thing.
They describe an intersex
slur.
person, yeah, but
yeah, they describe an intersex person, and that sort of is used to hand wave away the gender transition, because they were able, like, the pieces were already there.
Yeah, so the only people who would benefit from a sex change are people who have like latent or underdeveloped sexual organs of the other sex.
Well,
right.
And now we're getting into Ed Wood's bizarre Freudian conception of what trans people are, and his, like, Blanchardy classifications.
God bless. I like the days of, like, old sexual psychology. Like, that stuff was dope. Like, there was the Kinsey scale. Like, you're gay on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets into the psychology and, like, the weird, like, medical shit around differentiating between a cross-dresser or a trans person who is indistinguishable from an intersex person in this case.
Well, and a homosexual.
Oh, and of course a homosexual.
A homosexual.
Who
Homosexual.
will sometimes don the clothing and makeup of the female sex to attract the...
Well, that's the thing, is that there's, like, three clusters in this movie of Ed Wood's conception of trans people. There's the gay boys who just want to fuck.
And light each other's cigarette by touching the tips together.
And, like, sometimes wear makeup to, like, seduce men.
Oh, yeah, that was the thing where they basically said they would don on the aesthetic of women to seduce men.
And then...
was the homosexuals.
Which, yeah, because that's how that works.
And then there's the transvestites who just like to wear the clothes and don't want to, like, mess around with their bits. and like think that they're more comfortable, because like Ed Wood has a weird thing where he thinks that women's clothes are just way more comfy.
Yeah, why would anybody ever want to be a man? It's just, you wear a hat and it makes you bald. Why would
Yeah,
you
and
want to?
that's one of his takes, is that hats are too tight and make you bald, which is like,
And no, that's
buddy, we need to unpack that.
yeah, and it's better because it's the 1950s as well. So like instead of wearing that,
7 in 10 men wear hats and 7 in 10 men are bald.
and also too, you get the torpedo bra, which was an amazing invention
That was a
of
look.
the 1950s. That needs to be brought back.
Well, and then there's the third type, the quote unquote true transvestite, who like earnestly wants to be a woman,
Well, there was an interesting line when they were going over that, though,
but
where
also
they
is straight.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we need to.
Straight boy.
And also,
Yeah, lesbians don't exist in this universe.
yeah, and also too, it wasn't straight in the context of the movie. It was normal, which is
Yeah.
which I mean, like again, 1950s.
And when I say straight, I mean attracted to women.
yeah,
Which
cis
again,
het.
it's really interesting because I guess they really go in on it is normal that a transvestite is attracted to women because they are a man, but it is normal that a pseudo-hermaphrodite is attracted to men because they are female.
Well, it's essentializing
Yeah.
what are just
So, yeah.
bizarre and like shit that Ed Wood came up with on the spot, or that Freudian psychologists were like jerking off to in the 50s.
Which again, I feel like these takes are fairly advanced for like the resources that you would have available at the time, though, because I feel like this is all stuff that like nowadays like you probably would go get past, but I can't imagine like having the point of reference to get past it back in those days. But
Yeah.
there's one line I want to go to that was when they were going over the 3 different types, where they're talking about how the transvestite or whatever doesn't wear women's clothing to attract men, but rather to separate themselves from men, which I thought was kind of an interesting line.
Yeah, to divorce yourself from your
Yes.
assigned gender.
Yeah, instead of to attract the sex, but to separate yourself from the sex, or to remove yourself from the other sex.
Yeah, because one of the things that they were talking about was like with the two case studies that they were mostly focusing on, or the fictional case studies, which was just like the whole idea was is that like they were doing that and dressing that way because of difficulties with the mother and father, which was an old that's old Freudian.
Yeah.
That's old Freudian theory.
Yeah, the
Freud
idea that
shit.
like because that's also for gay people, I think, back then, where if you don't get enough attention from your father and spend too much time with your mother, you turn out gay or whatever.
Well, and also it's like they want to transition to be their mother because they didn't have a mother who was caring or whatever.
Yeah.
And in this, they get it so that they cross-dress so that because what was it? So they cross-dress to create the person that they didn't get the attention of as their youth, but when
Yeah.
they get married, they can transfer that person to
Into
their partner.
wife. It's honestly totally is inconsistent. Like it's
Yeah.
not. I don't think that Ed Wood presents a coherent theory of gender in this movie.
No,
I think that he's like got weird dysphoric thoughts that are spiraling in his head, and that he's trying to channel into art.
Which I mean, big mood, but
Yeah, no. This entire movie was Ed Wood was just going, no, it's fine. See, it's normal. I made a movie about it. It's
and
okay
then it's
now.
like Ed Wood, like, I'm not gay though. I just like
Anyway, here's a
Skirts.
complete description of what SRS entails.
Yeah. Oh god, there was the
this
really
made up like fanciful sex change operation.
Oh, I hated that scene where it was just like these doctors just staring uncomfortably at like just fucking.
While bringing out the breasts, or
Oh, yeah.
whatever the line was.
They were just like, yeah, they were trying to like, oh, like it made it sound like it was a fucking treasure hunt. It's like, oh, we found the titties. X marks the spot.
The second half of this movie is Ed Wood's psychosexual psychedelic trip about gender and like transvestitism.
It's like for anybody who's watched Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, that
Yeah.
part where he's on ether. Imagine that.
Well, it's honestly like Ed Wood made the ContraPoints video Gender Dysphoria like 60 years ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So Contra, if you're listening to this, first off, hi. Secondly, you stole from Ed Wood, so you know.
I mean, didn't we all?
We're all derivative of Ed Wood. That's what we're doing here.
Exactly. So yeah, because it's women like being sexual towards Bela Lugosi. I'm not sure about that. And then there's parts where it's women getting like hog tying each other.
Yeah,
and then
being sexually
there's
assaulted.
yeah, the
not
sexual
get that.
assault
and like
bit.
stripping.
Like
Yeah.
initially in the first part of it, I'm like, this is actually probably one of my favorite parts of the movie because it was really like over the top and was hilarious.
Avant-garde.
Yeah, and it was just like my whole interpretation was like it was supposed to be like the internal struggle of like wanting to wear women's clothes and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's a little heavy-handed, but I too went to art school, so I can survive this. And then it ended up just getting so uncomfortable, especially with Bela Lugosi just like standing off in the corner and jerking off. Like it was just.
It honestly just felt like Ed Wood's dysphoric spiral
Yeah, and then,
on psychedelics.
yeah, and then
Like he had a bad trip and he made a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then feeling like, like Ed Wood himself, like getting surrounded by his peers and getting like pointed down, and then
all these like girls pointing at him.
Yeah,
and
and, like,
emasculating him.
and Satan popping in. Our
Call
boy,
out to our boy Satan.
call out
Satan
to-
is there.
Shout out Satan.
Satan's
Satan-
just hanging around.
Yeah, because Satan threw down for trans. Satan is for trans rights because Satan not only dispelled all the people like shaming Ed by turning Ed into Glenda, but also he like officiated the marriage and he was just very supportive. So again, Satan
King,
at us.
we
Come on the
stand.
show, please.
God bless.
Satan, please
Satan
respond.
bless.
Yeah, so like, but I feel like the entire time you're just wondering what this is actually supposed to represent specifically.
No, and like I don't think there is a coherent interpretation of this movie
No.
because I don't think Ed Wood is a good filmmaker.
No,
I think more so what we can take from this is a broader analysis of where Ed Wood was at in terms
Well,
of
something funny about this because
trying to figure this shit out.
Yeah,
'Cause,
just
like
as
you haven't seen the Tim Burton film.
No.
So in that, it is insinuated that this is basically Ed Wood's way of coming out to his wife as a cross-dresser.
that's intense.
Also, and you have to understand with Ed Wood's filmmaking techniques, as was Plan 9, every single take is just one take. Like, he doesn't do extras, just like, no, it's fine.
So yeah, this is a like
that's
wild.
authentic filmmaking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
I think
real.
that people who do more than one take are hacks.
Fuck you, Francis Ford Coppola.
Fucking David Fincher.
I know filmmakers who use subtakes. They're all cowards.
They're fucking cowards, losers.
Stop using
hacks.
metaphors. Say what you mean.
Just point the camera and make the movie. You win.
This is why I love porn, just for the storylines.
Porn's very
Well,
straightforward.
porn is honest.
Yeah, porn is.
You know, it doesn't do different takes, which is essentially lying.
Yeah, no.
Like just like cutting and doing different takes is lying to the audience. It
Yeah,
is
like,
less
there's-
Why are
authentic.
you lying?
There is no jump cuts in porn. It's just one continuous shot,
I
which
mean,
is
there's no multiple takes in real life,
no
and
exactly.
you're trying to make a real movie about the world.
Yeah, I want to
Come
do an
on.
authentic porn where there's just like
Edward
reruns
was
of
ahead of his
Friends in the
time.
background and everyone's got their socks on still. Look, I give it like at least 6 more months and then we're all going to be doing reviews on porn movies because we've run out of trans representation. So we're just going to try to find the best script.
We're gonna get there pretty soon.
Yeah, I really did believe that
if
was the
anyone
stepmom.
has any recommendations for like Gmail porn with good story,
We will absolutely
We will do
review
it.
this. We will.
I feel like there's at least one trans person in Caligula, which I think is enough of a reason to watch
Oh
it.
yeah, let's do Caligula.
up next on Tranifesto.
We just wanted to really watch this movie. So again, as we do with all of the things at the end of our fucking show, in which we are all in a semi-drunken haze, we'd like to discuss our opinions on the movie and whether we thought it was good representation, if it was a good movie. In this one, Lord knows we were all going to probably have very different opinions on this. So, Ree, you want to take it away?
For the 50s, it raises some surprisingly interesting questions and handles these questions in a way better than some things do today, but also it's a disaster. And like this movie is it's like an hour and 10 minutes long. It's on YouTube. It feels like it goes on forever.
No, I felt like we were watching that movie for 4 hours,
And I mean, like, to be
and
fair,
it is a short movie.
25 minutes of that was just stock footage of fucking Vietnam War.
The Vietnam War
Oh, I
had
forgot
not
about
happened.
that.
Well, oh, right. Well, then what war was that?
This is before Vietnam. That was
Oh,
World
yeah,
War
that was
II.
World War II.
That was
the
World War.
Pacific.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was the
The
Pacific
Korean War
War.
hadn't happened.
Oh fuck.
So, good representation.
Yeah. All right. I mean, that's pretty good. And then just a wavery finger.
Yeah, non-committal wiggly hands.
Yeah. I like this movie in a sense that, like, first off, I'm definitely going to buy it on DVD. I need to own this for my collection. I owned Reefer Madness for the longest time, but I've lost it, so I need to get that again. But first off, anything with Bela Lugosi.
Do you only know 2 movies from the 50s?
This and Reefer Madness.
There was no other movies in the 1950s. Those are the only 2 movies that exist.
They really were the core of the movement.
Yeah, exactly.
Of film.
Everyone else just ripped off of these. But I don't know, like, I liked it not in a way that was enjoyable. I know that sounds almost contradictory, but it's one of those things that, like, I feel like if there ever is a museum of transness or the journey that took us to a certain place.
That's our podcast.
Yeah, exactly. First off, we're going to be in that museum, so big ups to that. But secondly, like I said,
like 60 people listening and we have egos this big.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, whatever. It's a pretty big deal. But I feel that, like, it's one of those things that's, like, important to understand context for. I think it's a movie that I wouldn't recommend anybody really watches, other than if you're interested to see where we were to where we are now. Because sometimes, like, right now, especially, like, for me, I'll speak from experience, it's kind of hard to see the journey. I'm not very historical. History is not really a big subject of mine, so I kind of... Yeah, no, it's not like you're in school for it.
What is history?
Yeah, history is just mystery because it's patriarchal and there's a mystery. Look,
I'm not sure anything actually ever happened.
No.
It's very postmodernist of you.
Time started in 1987.
Technically, you can't know what even just happened.
Yeah, I'm older than all of you, so you were all born into my timeline. 1987 is when things started. But like
I read Foucault, and now all my professors hate me.
But yes, I would say it's if you're interested in seeing, like, how the progression of trans as an identity or as a I guess to some people at the time a belief system in a weird way, this is a good movie to watch. I would not say watch this for entertainment value, but watch it more for, like, oh, this is what one person did to try to describe as poorly as they could what things were like.
It's like it's a document of the, like, wild dysphoric thoughts that everybody who goes through, like, any sort of weird gender questioning period has, but in a period where they had almost no point of reference aside from, like, a couple sensational quotation mark sex change stories. And, like, it's an autobiographical take of, like, that weird point in time from this one specific person who has some thoughts that a lot of trans people can relate to.
Totally.
Even though it goes to completely bizarre conclusions.
Yeah, and Ames, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's, like, mainlining the paranoid despair of a 1950s crossdresser who is full of internalized transphobia and has no real framework for understanding any of what he's going through, she's going through, besides that which Ed Wood invented for this movie.
Yeah.
And so in that way, it's fascinating. And it is a slog. It's grueling. It's not really a fun movie. It's not a good movie.
No, it's not.
And it's, not unproblematic.
I messaged one of my friends saying we were watching this movie, and they're just like, why? I understand now.
Yourself to that.
I think there is a niche that would enjoy this movie.
This movie has value.
This movie has
value.
This movie has value.
It is valid.
It is valid. It is not fun. It sucks. I'm sorry. I love Plan 9. This sucks.
If I want to explain what being trans is to somebody, an easy way is to just show them this movie.
Yeah. And hopefully they get bored halfway through and they're just like, fuck, fine, whatever you want to do, just stop the goddamn movie. All right. Thanks for joining, everybody. As always, it's been wonderful having you listen to us. Thank you again. I am at rabbit_isdead on Twitter. You can find me or DM me there.
I am at lavender ashtray. My DMs are not open. Sorry, boys. But you can follow me.
And I'm at Riri Carter, RHICARTER. My DMs are open, please. I crave attention.
That's all you will.
Just send all the dick pics to Riri.
Yeah, exactly. Dick Cheney.
Dick Van Dyke.
Ooh, that's a good one.
If you have any complaints Just don't DM me about it.
Yeah, if you want to complain about...
Well, I mean, okay, fine. Okay, dick pics to me, complaints to Madeline.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Okay, which of those two do you crave more?
Well, considering I just had that really creepy dude message me asking me to help him masturbate, I'm done. So anyways, we're going to leave it on that note.
That's why my DMs are closed.
Yeah, no. And I haven't learned my lesson yet. Anyways, love you all.
Okay. Good dick pics to me help with masturbating to Madeline.
Oh, no. I love you all. Please, nothing. I just... Contact us if you need anything. And until next time, just remember, just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not good. And we'll see you all next time. I fucking hate you. No fucking...
Cause I hate people when they're not polite.